Hey everyone, it's Marco here, and today I'll be giving you my first impressions on the game Norland to see if it's the right game for you. On the Steam page, here's what the devs have to say. Lead your noble family in this medieval colony sim, facing off against class conflict, religious struggle, and political treachery. Tend to your people's needs, uncover the knowledge of a fallen empire, and engage in nefarious plots against your enemies. So then, what is Norland? Manor Lords meets RimWorlds meets Game of Thrones meets Crusader Kings? Maybe. There's a lot going on under the hood. Some of it bad, but a lot of it is very good. It's pretty much like any other city builder out there, but with a lot of twists and turns to keep things interesting. It's set in this medieval period, and in the beginning you're going to first need to set up your family with a ton of different game parameters to choose from. I mean, you're going to be setting up how your family is structured, what kind of traits do they have. Then you need to choose where you want to place your kingdom. This map that's going on here is huge, and there are tons of other families and kingdoms that you'll also either need to side with, or maybe trade with, or maybe go to war with. Yeah, it's crazy. And then when you decide on a place, it becomes like any other city builder. But like I said, there's a few things that are going to be keeping things interesting with a few twists, like you're some kind of M. Night Shyamalan trying to direct the next Game of Thrones. I don't even want to imagine that, but yeah. You start off pretty much with the basic supplies here, but then eventually you're going to want to expand. You want to be growing some crops. You want to be chopping down trees for the wood, maybe even getting a mine going to get some bricks, and then you want to be building houses for your lords, taverns for alcohol to keep people happy. You know, the standard kind of thing going on there. Yes, you will be managing your people here, but it's only the lords that you need to be worrying about. You don't have to manage every single person here. So you've got a king and you've got the lords that will be telling people what to do. So once you construct a new building, say a barracks or maybe a field, you'll need to assign a lord to it. And that's kind of how the game works. Eventually, you can have other people to do it instead, which I'll get to later. But for the most part, you're going to be managing these lords to do every single thing in this game. See, you're not just managing these buildings, you're managing the drama behind the scenes, like it's that Game of Thrones I mentioned earlier. These guys are a needy bunch of fools, and they're going to get lonely, they're going to get greedy, and most of all, they're going to get horny. Now, you're going to be running around making sure all their needs are met. It's a bit like The Sims. You got to keep them socializing. There's just so much to do in this game, from the simple chit chats to going hunting together. And I'm going to add this here that the violence in this game is just hilarious, even though it looks kind of like warm and cozy. Like you'll be hunting these wolves while you go on a date, and you'll just straight up bludgeon this poor thing. And it's hilarious. I mean, I know medieval times were tough and all, but yeah, damn. And then with all this rampant sex and violence going on, how do you unlock more things? Like, how do you get more buildings? Well, that's where this guy comes in, the trader. He's going to come around every 3 days or so, and he'll let you buy and sell things to make money. I mean, he's going to be selling things from peasants to books. Yeah. And then it's these books that help with everything. If you want to build a mine, there's a book for that. If you want a place to execute people, there's a book for that too. It's pretty cool because then your lords have to read these books and it takes a while. They have to go into like this library. Eventually though, you're going to be making relationships with your neighboring kingdoms and the towns. And that's when even more complexity and dynamic gameplay is going to be coming your way. Like with a game like Crusader Kings or Manor Lords, for example, you'll need to manage these relationships either through peace or warfare. And here, it can get even more complex, like who you're going to be choosing to marry, or maybe you want to assassinate one of the other lords. And then the other thing is that people are going to come to your place and come and chill. These lords are going to come and say, hey, what's up? Yeah, I mean, I had this one lady come through, Shanana, I think her name was. She seemed pretty cool. She came to me, she was blind, so I felt kind of bad for her. But she was also covered in blood. And yeah, I didn't ask any questions. I was like, okay, cool. Then she started spreading rumors about my lords. Yeah, all about that gossip. And I was like, that's not cool. Don't do that. I didn't want to kill her, and I couldn't really get rid of her. So I just put on this ridiculous looking mask on her head with like a bell. And that didn't help. People got angry. So yeah, I just removed her head from her body, and that caused a lot of terror throughout the kingdom. Things got intense. And then there's these other families and kingdoms around you that are just constantly doing their thing. You can trade with them. That's very useful for selling surplus supplies when you need the money. Because yeah, money is a big thing. And I mean, there's just constant shit happening all the time around you that it can be hard to keep up. But at the same time, it's not impossible. Like, you can pause the game if you really wanted to, which I do all the time. And the game tries its best to help you out with that tutorial and the in-game pop-ups. But yeah, like I said, there's just a lot you can do in this game. Is it on the same level though as RimWorld? No. And a lot of RimWorld players might be put off. But yeah, it's hard not to compare the two. But at the same time, there is still plenty that will come your way that you won't be expecting. And it'll still give you a similar level of crafting your own journey in this medieval storyline here. I had a blast, I'm not going to lie. I mean, for instance, when you start the game, you can have one of your lords being captured, and then you need to get them back, and that's just how you start the game. You can pay a ransom, or you can just go straight up kill their asses, but then you're gonna need an army for that. So yeah, armies are a thing in this game that it somewhat takes seriously. You're going to be needing weapons, armor, training grounds. You'll need to pick the right people for the job. And then your warriors will also need their own places to stay and food. It's all very involved. And yeah, the combat is just hilarious. Like, the graphics look kind of cute, but like I said, damn, these battles are brutal. Like, they're straight up just beating the shit out of each other, like that scene from Anchorman. And even in your own little village, you're going to be getting a lot of violence going on. Like if someone catches a bandit or a cutthroat, and they're just gonna get smashed if things don't go their way. Oh yeah, and speaking of that village, I haven't even touched on the city building aspects of this city building game. Yeah, I know. I played some Manor Lords when it came out, and this game feels very similar to that. Maybe a bit easier though. I mean, like for instance, when you read the books, the more you upgrade, the more buildings you can construct, which I must say there are quite a lot to choose from here, and I'm not even completely finished the game yet. I mean, eventually you can construct this one building that allows you to assign buildings via your citizens instead of using the lords, making that part of the game a lot easier. And then you'll be producing things, like I said, like alcohol and food, and there's also some variety here, and eventually you'll want to be upping that quality too. I mean, like, damn, don't get me started on the amount of times someone threw up mid-sex because of poor tasting beer. It reminded me a lot of university in a way. It's very peaceful at times too, which is strange in this game. It's got this calming music playing with these little birds chirping, and then soon your tiny little village will start looking like a proper kingdom. Honestly though, the best part in this game is just all the antics that happen, like all the time. I was not expecting it and was thoroughly surprised. Like, I thought I understood, I knew what was going on. I was like, yeah, build a bigger city and get the Lord to do things. But then, like, for instance, my priest, like Mr. Almighty over here, starts banging a peasant and then hates himself afterwards. I was like, what? What? Like what's going on? There's always just this random element where you have no idea what's going to happen next. I mean, I did have some gripes with the game though. It's still in early access, so you can expect quite a few bugs here and there. Some placeholder text pieces were missing, and then there was this one time the UI in the bottom right that gives the details about a character just kind of stayed there. I just had to like restart the game and then it was gone. But yeah, I didn't find any game-breaking bugs, and the devs have been pumping out patches left and right. However, after playing it for a few hours, I got the hang of the game and then started to get really into it. The constant managing of your lords and your citizens' needs, plus the randomness of what's going to happen next, combined with the city building aspects, really made this an enjoyable experience for me. This is just my first impressions though, as I don't want to give a full review, as I can tell there's still much that needs to be fixed and added in for that 1.0 release. So at the end of the day, who is this game for? Well, the games that I mentioned here, like RimWorld, Crusader Kings, Manor Lords, it's a bit like all of those combined in a way. So if you're a fan of city building strategy games that include some diplomacy and people management, I would definitely recommend giving this game a look. It's not just a city builder, it's not just a diplomacy game, it's this intense hybrid that's got a lot of depth, but what's more, there are tons of funny moments that just keep you wanting to play more and more. Also, the reviews are sitting at mostly positive, and it's going for around $24 on Steam. So, thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like or leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to find more games to get lost in, perhaps consider subscribing or even becoming a member. But other than that, it's Marco here from Easily Distracted Games, and as always, don't stop gaming.